We both have a lot of things that we would like to see from the Chiefs, even though, let's start out by saying the Chiefs are 13-1. They're more than likely going to be the number one seed in the AFC, and they're well on their way to defend their Super Bowl title. I think between you and I, we don't really know if there's a ton of threats for the Chiefs in the AFC. Probably the Buffalo Bills is the biggest one. But Jordan, do you want to kick us off on the Chiefs list, or do you want? Let's do it. So
Yeah.
we're gonna do 1 to 5 or 5 to 1. I mean, we're gonna go from 5 to 1 what we want to see, kind of like a top five list, and we're gonna go back and forth and say what we want to see. So, Jordan, what is your number five?
My number five on my list is more Willie Gay and less Ben Neiman. I have a couple that are just sub points of what I have. And the more Willie Gay we see, hopefully the less Ben Neiman we see. And Ben Neiman's snap count went down a little bit against the Saints, but
Hmm.
Willie Gay checked in at like 12 snaps or 17. It was less than 20. And I want to see that number keep going up. And this is just a wish list, so I can say stuff that probably won't happen because Willie Gay's not going to see the field a ton more throughout the rest of a playoff bound, possibly Super Bowl bound season in that team. So, I mean, it'd be nice to see. I'm just tired of watching Ben Neiman. I'm sure everyone listening is tired of watching Ben Neiman and enjoys the PFF grades that Willie Gay puts out as well as the plays he makes on the field.
I know I enjoy myself some Willie Gay every now and again. It was good to see him play decently well against the Saints and get some snaps in. But as you mentioned, I do agree. We need to see more than 20 snaps for old Willie Gay. Number five for me, I just really want to build a good health for this team. They really need to get healthy with the injuries of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the offensive line, Damian Wilson. Chiefs have been struggling with injuries this year. A lot of hamstring injuries too on the defensive front, back injuries on the offensive line. Luckily enough, the Chiefs have really been able to ride the wave of the injuries and really be able to right the ship when they need be. But a nice bill of good health going into the playoffs, I think, will be a very perfect Chiefs miss present for this team.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And part of that that ties into health, Byron Pringle's going to be back and he's going to be
Yep.
healthy. And I want that to mean more Byron Pringle and less Demarcus Robinson. I want it in the return game. I don't ever want to see D Rob return another punt. I don't want him to be returning kicks. I really don't want him to have a prominent role in the offense anymore. And I'm a guy who, at the beginning of the year, I liked Demarcus Robinson. I thought
Yeah.
that it was a great signing to bring him back. I thought that he was kind of a guy you could rely on, and his spatial awareness is non-existent. I mean, he keeps trying to cut back or reach back on the field when you need to go forward once you get the ball. His hands aren't great, and I just like Byron Pringle. I think that I've established myself as a pro Byron Pringle guy. I like what he brings to the table, and I'd like to see more of it moving forward.
So number four for Jordan is more Byron Pringle. He needs that nice big old can of Pringles. He loves his Pringles, and he needs to see some of that. What do you think flavor of Pringle Byron Pringle would be?
Probably the I don't know, honestly.
There's a
I
lot of
haven't
good
had
flavors of Pringles.
I think just the OG. I think the
Yeah,
OG
I think so too.
regular Pringles, which is fine. He's kind of a low-key guy who just does his job.
That's a good comparison right there. So number four for me, what I would really like to see is Travis Kelsey lead the league in receiving yards. He'd be the first tight end to do so. We've talked about it a lot this year, but he deserves it. He deserves to be the first tight end to do a lot of things. And he's more than likely going to break the record for tight end receiving yards this Sunday against the Falcons. I don't know off the top of my head how many he needs, but I think it's now in the double digits of how many yards he
Yep.
needs for that. So we'll probably see him do that. And I would love to see him lead the league. Now, there's some guys like DK Metcalf, Stephon Diggs putting up some good years. Tyreek Hill could still sneak up and lead the league in receiving yards, but I would like to see Travis pull that out. That would be a nice, big, juicy thing on my wish list. So, Jordan, what's number three?
Number 3 for me is Patrick Mahomes to win MVP again. And
Mm,
I think that's something that after the game against the Saints, it's more likely to happen just because of all the stuff he did in spite of his receivers not catching the ball, the offensive line letting him get hit 11 times, the defense kind of letting the Saints back in the game a little bit. So I want to see him get that MVP. And I think that me and Connor friend of the pod, have both established that we're cool with Aaron Rodgers being MVP this season,
Yeah.
but ideally we would like to see Patrick Mahomes bring home that trophy again.
So would I. I think that'd be awesome to see Patrick Mahomes be good, nice little capper on his 2020. He's had quite the year. While everyone else has kind of struggled and had a rough year in 2020, he's had one of the best years, I think, in the history of years for any human being. So it's got to be up there. Number three for me is I would like the Chiefs defense to get some pressure without blitzes. Now we know that Spags likes to dial up the blitzes. There's nothing wrong with that. That's how the Chiefs have been getting pressure. They really disrupted the Saints with their pressure and their blitzes. And I would like to see the Chiefs be able to get pressure while rushing four. I think that'll make the Chiefs defense a lot more dynamic. They're able to do it last year, and they should be able to with Chris Jones, Tano Pasnio, Frank Clark, Tershawn Horton. All those guys, very good pass rushers. They just need to get out of the funk they're in and just figure things out. I think that's what it really comes down to is just them figuring things out. And that's really what I want for number three. So, Jordan, what's your number two thing on your list?
It's gonna be, you want more pass rush, I want less pass rush, but on the offensive side, I want
Yeah.
the offensive line to do their job and protect Patrick Mahomes. Now, I will give them a pass for the Saints game because they had new guys coming in who hadn't played since week 1 or even earlier than that. They had guys who were injured. They're still waiting on Mitchell Schwartz. We don't know what the status of that is. Personally, I'm not holding my breath on him coming back this season at all. Eric Fisher looked very bad, and rightfully so. He was playing with a back injury. So I just want Mahomes to be upright and healthy heading into the playoffs.
I think that that is a very reasonable thing to ask for. That's something that you should get. You know, you always have those things on your list where I'm going to ask for this, but I don't know if I'm going to get it. And it's on that end. And then you've got
Yep.
things where like, okay, this should probably, this is a gimme right here. And
Yep.
when you're making your list as a kid, I could always remember writing those things down like, okay, I could probably get this and things that were probably out of the budget. You know, like if I
Yep.
would have wrote down a PS5 this year, that's not going to happen. They're just not going to be there. So, number two for me, yeah, we're on number two, aren't we?
Yeah.
Wow, already. Number two, I've got Stickum. The wide receivers need something to help catch these balls from Patrick Mahomes. We saw lots of drops in the Saints game, which was very
Yep.
uncharacteristic of them. But not only the drops, they've really struggled to hold on to the ball. They had a fumble from McCole Hardman against the Miami Dolphins. That was, I would say, uncharacteristic, but that's what happens when you hold the ball out like a loaf of bread.
Yep.
They also had the fumble from Demarcus Robinson that resulted into a safety. And you've already mentioned about Demarcus Robinson. He's kind of a headache, I would say. Sometimes when he touches the ball, you're just like, oh no, what's going to happen? You're going for a ride. So I think that the Chiefs need some stick 'em. There were some pretty big drops. Now I will say the Saints did play very good pass defense. There was a
Yep.
play. I can't remember who it was that came and swatted the ball out of the back of Travis Kelsey. Um,
Yes.
I can't remember who it was. Maybe Marshawn Lattimore, maybe. Um,
Yeah, it might have been, or the young kid who made that play on the Hardman deep ball. He was making plays
yes,
all over the place too.
he was. Yeah, the Saints got a good pass secondary, but I would really like to see the Chiefs haul in some balls that they should. Now we did see some deep balls too. I think there was one to McCole Hardman, as you mentioned, that he probably should have hauled in. That he
Yeah,
probably should have been able to keep that one in. And there was a couple to diving plays. I think to Sammy Watkins that okay, they're diving plays, so you don't really default him too much. But it would have
sure.
been nice to have them haul those in. So Jordan, give me your number one thing on your list. What is at the top of your Chiefs miss wish list?
So I made some, you know how on Facebook you can make like events and
Hmm.
invite people and stuff. So I made some Chiefs events. I made the Falcons game. I
Yep.
made the Chargers game to close out the regular season. I made the first round bye. I made the playoff rounds, and then I made the Super Bowl. And I invited some guys, and like Patrick Mahomes was like, "Yep, I'll be there." Travis Kelsey was like, "Oh, guaranteed."
Mm-hmm.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire was like, "Probably no on the first few, but count me in for the last ones, hopefully." And I sent Frank Clark an invite, and I was like, "I don't know if Frank's going to get back to me, if he'll RSVP or just say no, I'm not going to be there." Like, Frank, please just give me an answer. Like, are you going to be there? Are you going to show up early and then leave late? Are you going to show up late and then have a great time and then leave the party early? Just let me know. I need Frank Clark to RSVP or tell me I'm not coming to the party.
It's just respect at this point. I
It's
mean,
just respect.
yeah, it's just manners.
Yeah.
You just want to know what Frank Clark has in store for the rest of the year. Number one for me, it's got to be that second Super Bowl trophy for Andy Reid. Man, he
Yep.
deserves it. He's one of the best coaches in the league, really vying for that top spot. Bill Belichick's going to be tough to knock off, but Andy Reid deserves to have at least two Super Bowls. He deserves to have a whole cabinet full of Lombardi trophies with the way that he's been able to coach his team and really turn this franchise around. It would just be a perfect end to this season if they can cap it off with back-to-back Super Bowl wins, and they looked primed to do so. They do look good going into these final couple games, and it's exciting to see the Chiefs where they are, 13-1, heading into this Atlanta Falcons game on Sunday. You got to be happy with how things are going in Chiefs Kingdom.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we nitpick, and I've been guilty of it. On Sunday after the game, I caught some flack for a tweet about like how the Chiefs, if they keep goofing off like this in the playoffs, it's not going to end favorably for them. And like I thought it was a fine tweet. I thought that people got mad, and I guess they
Mhm.
get angry when you point out that the Chiefs aren't invincible. But on the other hand, they're 13-1. They've lost one game in their past 23 or whatever the streak is. Like, if any team has proven that they can not only win ugly games, but also step up when needed, it's the Kansas City Chiefs.
And it's really been a strength for them. A lot of people like to say that, oh, they've only won their last 6 games by a combined 24 points. Andy Reid saw that and he said, well, that sounds like we're good at that then. It doesn't sound like that's something that's a bad thing. It sounds like something that's a good thing. So the Kansas City Chiefs are heading in the right direction, I believe. And we don't want to keep you too long on your Christmas. We really do appreciate you guys tuning in as you do every day. I can imagine how difficult it is to listen to a daily podcast, let alone listen to me talk every day. I can't imagine how tough that is. But we really appreciate the MVLs out there. This is the time of gratitude. So I want to say how thankful I am to all these most valuable listeners out there. Your support is felt every single day. Don't ever think that you go unnoticed because I think about you guys all the time, every day. Without you guys, what we do would be impossible. So I'm glad that you guys enjoy the content, that you enjoy listening to Jordan and I talk. And this has been a great year. 2020 has been good for me starting this podcast. We've only been up for what, just over 3 months now, and
Yeah.
we're making some noise in the Chiefs side of things. So I appreciate once again all of you guys listening. It means the world to me.
Yeah, and it means a ton to me too. I mean, I couldn't have really said any of that much better. I'm definitely not crying. I definitely just had something that was tickling my throat. I didn't want anyone to get the wrong impression. But I really do appreciate everyone that tunes in. It's to get those interactions on Twitter and just talking to people and getting questions and stuff like that, and just knowing that there are people out there who, even if they don't care about our opinion, they're tuning in and
Yeah.
seeing what we have to say. And the people that do care, that want to interact, it's really, really humbling and also very awesome. So shout out to everyone who listens. Shout out to the MVLs.
This has been an episode of Roughing the Kicker on arrowheadreport.com. Go follow Jordan on Twitter at Footnoted. Follow myself on Twitter at Tucker D. Franklin. Once again, Merry Christmas. We'll be back tomorrow with an episode to preview this Chiefs and Falcons game at noon, a noon kickoff. Those are always my favorites for some reason. I don't know why. I enjoy the noon kickoff games. But until then, I'll talk to you tomorrow.